I started with ChatGPT and I got really good at it. When I felt comfortable and confident, I started to play with other things across all these different AI tools and being like not understanding how any of them work. So I feel like I have to go and dive in and use it a little bit more. AI is going, I think it's moving so quickly.
So
It's
fast.
wild to me, but I do think that AI avatars are
Mm.
going to be something to watch out for.
Are we at a point yet where I can have an avatar attend my Zoom meetings for me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready for it. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by AdaPia D'Errico. She is a fractional C-level executive. She is a strategic consultant. She's had her hands in a lot of different things. So I'm really excited to dive into her this conversation with her today. We have talked about different industries and crowdfunding and things she's been a part of. She's just a delightful person to talk to, and I'm excited to dive in. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's start with this. Tell us how you got to where you are today. Tell us a bit of your story.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to keep it short. But basically, let's say for the past 10 years or so, after having helped launch the real estate crowdfunding industry, I've kind of been in this space, like real estate, private equity, some venture as an investor. I'm really, actually really passionate about supporting female and minority founders and just like this burgeoning movement of emerging managers. I actually coach private equity entrepreneurs as well around capital raising. I do independent board work. And I think that all really stemmed from kind of jumping into entrepreneurship in 2008 when I left my finance career. I was at a hedge fund at the time and started a business with my sister, who's a global pop surrealist artist. And like we grew this business of hers, starting with a MySpace page and commerce and online sales and everything that we today call social selling and the creator economy. Like we were doing that way back in the day, and kind of discovered I was an entrepreneur and kind of rolled into crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo level stuff. And then when I heard about the Jobs Act and equity crowdfunding in 2013, that really piqued my interest because I have this finance background. And I thought maybe I can turn her fans into shareholders, which was not exactly the case. That didn't been until 2016, but it really pulled me over into venture funding and fintech and real estate. And I helped launch a real estate crowdfunding company. So she was well on her way, still runs a very successful business. And I kind of went on my way and kind of found this balance between finance, investing, investor relations, which is really what I did at a hedge fund for a really long time. And then the entrepreneurial side of the internet and marketing and new securities laws. And yeah, I've been there ever since. So that's how I got to where I am today.
Well, what of all the things that you've kind of been a part of, what have you found to be the most, I guess, interesting or stimulating? Like, is it the crowdfunding thing you've been a part of? Are you facing new challenges right now with some of the companies that have brought you into consult? I'm kind of curious to hear like what's been the most interesting and stimulating thing that you've been a part of.
Yeah, I think anything that's like launching a new industry is extremely stimulating. Like when I started even working with my sister, we were told like point blank by people in the industry on all sides, like, you can't do this. You can't take her. She is a painter. You can't put her art on things, right? Licensing, like only if you're Andy Warhol or Keith Haring. And we were like, well, watch us. And we did. And like that changed the game, not just us, but it was this movement in time with like a few artists that would go to the Comic Cons, would put their own art on merchandise, would like show up, would monetize and be like, you know what, this is my art. I'm making money. Um, so that was like a new thing. I didn't know it was new. I just did it. And that was that was in 2008. That was after the big Great Recession. So we like started this new business in the middle of like, you don't know what you don't know is like kind of my favorite place to be because you just doesn't matter. Like you like old people, right? I'm the old person now, but like you old people don't tell us that we can't do this new thing. And it was the same with real estate crowdfunding where, people who had been in real estate a really long time were like, well, you can't do that. You can't. And it was called syndication. it always existed, but not with the internet and not with what the internet brought. And so that's really stimulating to me, is what's like new and upcoming and really driven by culture. And for me, there's like an impact side of economic equality, if you will. Like, everyone should be able to make money, especially if it's their stuff. And that's what we did with artists. And to some degree, it was more equal access to real estate on the crowdfunding side that really drew me. So like there's this real like impact element. Today it's like called impact. Didn't have that name back then. It was just, I was drawn to, how do we make things more available to more people and basically allow more people to make more money because they should.
So, okay. Um, it's so interesting. But okay, so talk to us about what you're doing today. So you're obviously you're brought in to help other companies grow, to consult. What are some of the challenges and things that you're facing today?
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I've done so much and I'm at the stage where I can do more advisory work and board work, and because all this experience allows me to have a very broad view, but also like a very detailed view. And I think the thing that is the most challenging, it depends on the stage of the company, but let's say like really, really early stage, is a founder with a vision that is not operational, and most founders are not operationally oriented. That's the biggest challenge, is the founder with a big vision but cannot ground it into operational execution, right? Like there's a lot that goes on when you're a founder, and they need a lot of support, and they need a lot more strategic support than they think, but they also need operational support because somebody has to do the thing, but it also has to be sequenced in such a way where it can actually make sense. So that's a big challenge to a lot of founders, especially because I think, I'm going to say it this way, like energetically, like we're just hit by like so much distraction, so much news, and so many notifications. And that's like disturbance in the field. And it's really hard to concentrate and focus. And so that also ends up pulling people, well, maybe I should
I
do
wouldn't know
this.
anything about that, by the way.
No, right? I know. It's like, oh, I turned my phone over, but let me just check just in case I missed something. Like but the thing about it is like there's always new ways to reach audience. And for me, because I often come in as on the marketing or the strategy side, is like founders who are like, oh, I read this thing and Gary Vee said this and so, and it's like, let's try this and this and this. And like when you have a go-to-market strategy, you have to follow it. There's strategy that's involved. And so the other big challenge is sometimes tripping over tactics, and you just totally miss the strategy. And so you're going somewhere, but where is really not up to you. So it's those things, like you need a strategy, you need to operationalize your vision, and you need to actually focus on getting one step at a time, especially in the beginning, to show traction. And then you can have your bigger vision always driving you. But if you don't make it tangible with action and strategy, a lot of times it just ends up being like treading water. You're just kind of spinning around in circles.
What man, you said so many things. I'm like, I want to double click on that, but I don't know if we'll have time. Um, I guess like what are you seeing that is working well? Like I guess at the companies that you do consult, what's one thing you're typically helping them with, and then what's thing that you have noticed that some of these companies potentially are doing well, or what as a standout from some of the companies you're consulting?
Yeah, I think when, well, definitely communication. If you get communication, like cross-functional, like keeping everybody in the loop, no silos. That is what works really, really well. Silos to me are like the death of a company. Like you just can't get anywhere. And it doesn't mean you all have to be in an office. Like you can do lots of things remotely, but if you keep people siloed, and like product is not working with marketing and like in
What do you
customer
can you give me an
service.
example of that? Because I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean by a
Oh,
silo? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like let's say in a SaaS company,
Hmm.
you have a product team that is developing the product. And then you have a marketing team, and then you might have a sales team. If those three teams do not talk regularly, plus a customer success team, right? If that isn't a loop that's constantly talking to each other, product's just going to develop what product wants. marketing's going to say, okay, I'll market it, but do I understand it? Sales is going to sell whatever sales wants to hit their sales targets. And then customer success is left with fixing sometimes an unhappy client that says, well, I got sold something, but the product does something different. And your marketing material made it sound like it was the best thing in the world.
That's fascinating. I mean, I feel that on a small level. I mean, I have two little companies that are both under $1 million in revenue. They're just startups. We just started them this year. And we feel that with like our 6 to 7 employees, like sometimes we're not communicating well. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Okay. Let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
How are you using it? Where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not?
I use it everywhere. I use it all the time. Gosh, I could say so much about it. I do a lot of like personal, self-reflective and contemplative work with AI. So like there's a part of me, I wrote a book called Productive Intuition in 2020. I have like a very strong personal practice around developing my intuition and like being really self-reflective, because I believe self-awareness is the foundation of leadership, right? If you know yourself, you can lead others because you can get out of your own way. It just makes it so much easier. I actually use AI a lot in that realm. So like as a mirror to like help me with communication, helps me with my marriage. Like it's just a massive tool for that. And then because to me, communication and relationships underpin business as well, that allows the business side to really flourish. So super simple ways that I use AI is transcribers in every call. And then after every call, let's say it's a team call, I take that transcript and I spend, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes with it to output. And I don't ever just go based on its summaries and action items. Like I output what was decided, the action items. Sometimes I use it to build out strategy. Like it's just so helpful. These transcribers are like to me like the number one tool, especially if bring it into like your system, whether you use GPT and custom GPTs or Gemini for um, different work. But
Which one are you
regardless,
using, by the way, out of curiosity?
I use Gemini Pro for anything that is like very data driven and just like objective. Like I don't want a personality to analyze my data. I just want it to analyze my data because my chat GPT is so customized to me that it sometimes just talks in such a way where I'm like, I don't want you to talk like that. I'm just looking for data. So I use my GPT and I have all kinds of custom GPTs that I use for client calls or reporting or different things. I have projects, but I use Gemini for like highly technical. It also has a much larger context window. So for really large documents or data sets, I put it in there.
Mm.
I use Notebook LM as well. And then I use Claude sometimes, but a little bit less. And then I use Perplexity a ton. It's replaced my Google as my primary go-to website.
That was a nice little masterclass right there. That's going to be a nice snippet for the podcast later. But I appreciated that. I've been using Grok lately, and I've been pleasantly surprised at how like there's a lot that you can do with it. But I do get that with ChatGPT. It's like, man, I don't need you to just gas me up. I just need you to get the thing done. You know?
Exactly. Totally. And in fact, I used Perplexity the other day to build charts because for whatever reason, Google Gemini was not participating with me. And I asked it for some data sets to create a chart. And it goes, I can't, I can't get to the internet. And I was like, you're Google. So I shut that window down. I went into Perplexity and I said, find me this stuff. And then I was really pleasantly surprised. It actually built the visual chart based on the data that it pulled. And so I think there's way more to explore in Perplexity, actually. That's really interesting to me. So anyway, yeah, those are my really key tools. And then Notebook LM as like, because it doesn't pull external information. So for example, I put my book in Notebook LM and I used it to create a workbook, an FAQ section, all this kind of stuff. And it's not pulling from external IP, it's only pulling from that. So like if I'm doing work around, I'm building my board profile, right? Like my board bio, there's a number of work that has to go into being board ready, et cetera. So I upload like all these documents and I give it all these websites and I use it trains me, but it's not hallucinating because it's only being able to work off of the data you give it. So I think that things are evolving so quickly. But here's how I started. I started with one because I know myself, and I was like, I'm going to do it differently this time. I started with ChatGPT and I got really good at it. And then when I felt comfortable and confident, I started to play with other things instead of dispersing my energy across all these different AI tools and being like not understanding how any of them work, which is why now I'm realizing like Perplexity's got a whole bunch of advanced things I haven't used yet. So I feel like I have to go and dive in and use it a little bit more. But that's been my AI journey for about a year.
What's an industry? So you seem to have a good like heart, like the heartbeat of like what's going on. It sounds like you're
Mhm.
consulting some SaaS companies, different types of enterprises. What's like on the up and up right now? Like what's the hot new enterprise or thing that's like in the startup world?
Man, well, there's a couple. One is more related to women in venture capital. So there are a lot of female founders and a lot of female venture capitalists that are supporting these women to create products, right? Women are 50% of the population, to create products and services for women. That
Hmm.
most of the time it just is what it is. I'm just making an objective statement. Men cannot understand. You cannot walk into like let me tell you about menstrual health. You're going to be like, I'm not funding you, I don't care. But like women do. And so there's that massive movement and it's really exciting, and there's a lot of emerging managers that are women, and like that's like a whole field that's really interesting to me. And then on the other side where AI is going, I think it's moving so quickly.
So
It's
fast.
wild to me. But I do think that AI avatars are
Mm.
going to be something to watch out for.
Are we at a point yet where I can have an avatar attend my Zoom meetings for me? Are we close to that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for something to be able to look
Yes.
like me, talk like me, and be at my Zoom meetings for me, and that I will pay
Yes.
a lot of money for.
Yeah.
So
I think we're there. It's not fully publicly rolled out, but yeah, 100% we are. And avatars for like coaches or content creators or thought leaders that can deliver their content 24/7. Like you will like let's say you have decades or even like years of content that you've created, you and you're like, God, I have to let me film another course, like never
mhm,
again, because
mhm,
your avatar can get trained and then it can deliver the course and you can script it, and then guess what happens to you as a human coach or thought leader? You are
yes,
so much more valuable. Time
yes,
with you is such a premium and it's super special. Like as much as I've got all kinds of custom GPTs for my personal work to do like reflection, I still have my coaches, I have my advisors, I have my people. They're different, but like I get to work on myself or work on my business kind of 24/7 with something that can give me like immediate feedback. And then I value and I use my human advisors as like the super special, like they're like that. And so to me, I think about it as like AI and for automation, and then that leads to human elevation. That's how I think about it.
I love that. And one of the things that I kind of see is like if you have an ounce of creativity, you have just been handed a
Mhm.
lottery ticket. Like what you just said, using a tool like HeyGen or Veed or one of these avatar, like you can literally create an entire course, a low ticket offer, clone yourself, and have it sit up within a few days. Like what a time to
Yeah,
be alive. What a time to be
exactly.
alive. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one thing we haven't talked about today that you want to talk about? A hot take, a cause, a business principle or lesson? What's something that we should talk about?
I don't know. I really think I mean, honestly, and I know I'm talking really fast because I do when I'm excited. We talked about so much. Like I even got to talk about my book, and look, I think the AI thing is really interesting. I think that that piece about not losing the humanity in it and not being afraid of it, maybe we can talk about that, because
Yeah,
I
let's
know
talk about it.
me or you, like there's a group of us that when we hang out with each other, we're like, everybody must be like that. That's how I think. And then in truth, there's a very small group of us who are excited about AI, and a much larger contingent of the population that's very scared. And right, you're like, you don't think that because you're an entrepreneur. You're like, no,
No, I'm
this
thinking
is
of a friend
amazing.
of mine from
You
my
don't know.
church who literally is worried about his job getting replaced. I'm like,
Uh,
look, dude, go into a deep dive on YouTube for 15 minutes a day and become the most valuable person at your company,
exactly.
because a
Yeah.
lot of these businesses are owned by people who are worried. And like, if you, what I've seen though, especially with the blue collar ones, their
Mhm.
son or someone in their business, that's my AI guy. Like, where that person's in, they just kind of are sweeping it
Yeah.
under a rug. Like,
Yeah.
this person's taking care of the AI for us. And I'm like, that guy, like, you need to learn it,
Yeah.
and if you do,
Right.
you're going to be the most valuable person at your enterprise.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think it's like I introduced AI to my husband who works in the construction industry and like but he's on the computational design side so like he uses computers and automation and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know about AI, not so much." But I showed it to him in a few different ways and he saw the value for certain things. Like him and his team and what they could do with their brains. Like AI can't do that today, but it can certainly help them. Like everybody can use it. Everybody can use it. Like there's so many things that AI can do for everyone who has a job currently that allows you to be better at being you. Like do the human thing, which is relationships, which is the social thing, which is business. Listen, I tell my coaching clients this all the time, my real estate and private equity entrepreneurs that raise capital, automate the crap out of what you can so that you can build relationships with your investors. You didn't I'm not gonna like don't automate that, but automate everything else so that you get to spend quality time with people that you're stewarding their capital. Like that is what we should be doing as humans. We should be seeing it, should is the strong word, but like if we can see it as a creative unlock and like it can do all the mundane things that we hate anyway,
mhm.
and that's what I mean about the transcriber. I don't have to take copious notes and like, oh man, let me spend 2 hours making sure that everyone's on the same page. No, it takes me 30 minutes after every meeting to make sure everybody in the company and on the team is on the same page. Like, wow, it saves me so much, man, like so much brain power. And the other thing is, I'm not so precious about my ideas anymore. And this is just me because before I'd like if I'm going to put together a strategy or a plan, I'm going to put so much of myself into it. And like if somebody told me, if somebody kind of like criticized it, I would get kind of upset. So I'm like, I spent hours and weeks on this thing. Now I don't have to spend hours and weeks, maybe still hours, but I don't feel as like gutted if somebody doesn't agree with my strategy because I can just go and retweak it again and make it better really quickly. So like that's something that I really learned as a personal unlock for me to be a better leader and for me to unlock creativity that wasn't so attached to the creative output.
So good. There's so many things I wanted to go deeper on, but this was so much fun. And honestly, I think I saw it was a meme the other day. It was like, you call it ADHD, but I call it conversational jazz. I was like, this whole conversation was conversational jazz, but it was really fun.
Nice.
Um, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do,
Yeah.
where can they go?
The fastest and easiest way, I think, is to go to LinkedIn and look me up, AdaPia, ADAPIA, D'Errico, DERRICO. Find me on LinkedIn and take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't hop off yet because I want to chop it up a bit, but thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks, Andrew.